Welcome to the European Summit, the industry-leading event that brings together the whole affiliate marketing ecosystem. Today, we've got quality leads on Facebook do exist, how to convert Facebook leads with Jason, and we will ask you to pop any questions you have in the chat box, and we'll get to them at the end. And without further ado, over to you, Jason. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Romana. You know what? One thing I'm feeling right now is an extreme sense of jealousy. That video montage was just like, that was painful to watch for me being here in exotic Guelph, Ontario, Canada. Nothing like Marbella. Marbella? How'd you pronounce it?
Marbella, I think.
There it is. Marbella. We'll go with Marbella.
Marbella.
Awesome.
We're all very jealous of Ralph.
Oh, man. Cool. So, yeah, I'm excited. This is a great topic, and I think a lot of people are going to get immense value from this topic today.
Yes, absolutely. I'm excited.
Cool.
So whenever you're ready, we can start the presentation.
Let's do it. Awesome. So I'm Jason Hunt, and today we're talking about Facebook. We're going to geek out on Facebook. I know there have been a few other presentations at TES about Facebook, but this one's going to be a little different. And hopefully from this, you're going to think a little bit outside of the box with the way that you use the Facebook platform, unlike the ways you've used it in the past. This specific presentation is going to be geared towards lead generation, but it does apply to any brand, e-commerce, Nutra, ED, whatever it is, whatever you're into, whatever your affiliate niche is, this is going to be relevant to that niche. Quality leads on Facebook do exist. So a lot of you out there might have tested Facebook before and it's like they threw up their hands and gave up and said Facebook's crap and the leads are no good. You just need to use Facebook in a different way. Use it to basically bring people into that funnel, to make that initial connection with your brand. That's the proper way to use Facebook. And we're going to dive into a strategy that we've perfected today and is working really well in 2021. So I want to give you a quick backstory on where I come from. If you've seen me speak at TES in the past, you can just go grab a coffee or something. But if you've never seen me before, I'm going to give you a brief background on why I'm here talking about Facebook advertising. Back in, I'll go back to 2007. I had a band. I was in Japan, and we were a mediocre rock band. I was really a terrible singer. But through marketing our band through platforms like Facebook at the time, as well as MySpace, I was able to manufacture a tour of Japan. And I thought that was pretty cool because we really were a mediocre band, but we were able to develop a good following and a loyal tribe of people that would come watch us perform. And it was through that experience that I had my epiphany. And that was, I liked marketing my music more than performing the music. And for me, it was ever since that day where I went down the path of marketing and really haven't looked back. Some of you might know me from when I worked at Grand Slam Media, buying and selling traffic. I moved from that over to starting my own social media agency back in 2016 called Fresh Crowd, focusing on Facebook, Instagram advertising. I merged that company with an SEO company in 2019 to form Merged Media, your one-stop digital shop, taking care of everything in-house for our clients, from Google Ads to websites to SEO to social media marketing. It's such an opportunity to having all of those tasks handled under one roof. We're all collaborating at the table together, coming up with game plans and strategies for our clients. A lot of our clients like lean on us as their outsourced CMO. And now I have the pleasure of speaking at events like this to people around the world. And like I said, I've been speaking at TES for the past few years in Lisbon, as well as Prague. And hopefully, if everything gets better here, at least in Canada, we'll be seeing everybody in Prague come September. Now, you might have seen our ads. We do all the advertising for TES, all the Facebook and Instagram advertising, that is. So I'll just say, hopefully we did not annoy any of you guys too much. Ad frequency might have been up there if you've attended a TES show in the past, but really it's to keep you guys top of mind, or keep TES top of mind with you guys, so you guys continue to come back and register year in and year out. But this campaign specifically, it was great. I mean, TES always has some great creatives, and creative is really the key element to a successful campaign, is having some solid creative, and TES does have that. Now, why are we talking about Facebook? Okay, I'm just going to take you up to the clouds for a second to talk a little bit about understanding the numbers. Daily active users is 1.79 billion. Monthly active users is 2.7 billion. So if you're sitting back there being like, yeah, Facebook's not my platform, I beg to differ. If you have an audience and you have a brand and you're trying to get in front of an audience, Facebook is the platform for you because the attention is there. You just need to think about the mindset of somebody on Facebook when they're seeing your ad. You need to create intent. Big difference between Facebook ads and Google ads is on Google, there's very high intent. People will be searching for the product that you have to offer, and you have the solution to their problem right there in a Google ad at the top of search. Now, on the flip side of it, when you're using Facebook ads, there is zero intent. So you almost need to create that intent through education, through awareness, and set up your retargeting correctly so you're getting in front of them with the right message at the right time and a solution to that problem that they have. So when I say create intent, you need to pinpoint what that problem is that your audience may have that they might not have a solution to yet. Follow it up with a simple solution. This is tried, tested, and true. Worked a billions of times before. We've worked with hundreds of campaigns and executed this to perfection. It's really a good strategy, and it's not that crazy to set up, to be honest. But the recipe for success today, we're going to talk about this. What's the most important asset you have for increasing your sales? If you want to write in the comments, go for it. Give you a couple seconds here while I take a sip of coffee. I'm here in just outside of Toronto, Canada. So it is 10 o'clock in the morning here. So kind of just waking up. Okay, so the most important asset you have for increasing your sales is your email list. And we're going to talk about that today. The goal here is to get people from Facebook, get them off of Facebook. Okay. You don't own your Facebook followers. You don't own your Instagram followers. You don't own your Twitter followers. You want to get those users off of those platforms and over to your email list where you have that control. If Facebook shuts down tomorrow, you could lose your followers. You're not going to lose your followers while you're bringing them over to an email list. I think you have like 90 days. If you're doing lead gen on Facebook, you have essentially 90 days before Facebook deletes that lead. So you got to get them off of Facebook. Make sure you have them in your CRM or on a Google Sheet where you can nurture those leads, okay? Because Facebook leads do require a certain level of nurturing before closing. And what's very important is creating that lead magnet, okay? For those that don't know what a lead magnet is, it's an incentive used to offer a potential buyer in exchange for their email address or other contact information. So some examples of lead magnets: checklists, PDF downloads. It could be industry reports, ebooks, white papers, even any sort of video, educational video content. These are all lead magnets that could be enticing for your audience, sort of like freebies. Okay. The one that we're going to talk about today in depth is the white paper strategy, because this is a great one for getting low cost leads off of Facebook. Okay. Here's a few examples of white papers we've used in the past that have worked really well. This one here specifically is one we ran for ourselves. We're targeting entrepreneurs, business owners who maybe have tried dabbling in the Facebook advertising, did not get the best return on investment. We created this 5-page white paper giving people tips on what they need to be doing to do better with their Facebook ads. So now when a lead comes in through this, they're into our CRM, they're into our system, and there's a few ways we're going to nurture this lead. Okay, for us specifically, they're going into our system, they're going to our email drip campaign and newsletter list. And these people are also going to be retargeted with a certain series of ads to drive more listeners and subscribers to our podcast. We're also trying to hit them up with certain swipe up ads on Instagram to get them back over to our blog. So really what we're trying to do is just get somebody into the ecosystem, right? Because you only have one chance to make that first connection. So you got to make it count. Okay, so if you just put a cold ad out there to an audience that is not familiar with your brand and you're asking them for something, it's typically not going to work that great. But if you're giving something of value for free in exchange for their contact information, that's a good entry point into your business, into your ecosystem. And now, it's almost like they have this in the back of their mind and their consciousness that I need to give back to this company. I need to give back to this brand. So when you go to sell them down the road, it could be 3, 4, 5 months down the road, they're going to be more receptive to it. Okay. Another example, this is for a client that sells modular homes. It's a big thing here in the greater Toronto area right now. Housing prices in Toronto are ridiculous. Baby boomers are looking to downsize. They can't afford to live in Toronto. So this client is actually selling modular homes up in Northern Ontario, where the land is cheaper and the modular home is much cheaper. So for these guys here, it's basically top 4 reasons to build a modular home in 2021. It's a very enticing lead magnet for the target audience. Okay. And here's another one here. This is Why Not Summit. Some of you might be familiar with the Why Not Summit. The most profitable affiliate marketing niches for 2021 was the title of this white paper. And it's basically targeting affiliates, talking about those niches that are to look out for in 2021. So obviously a very enticing topic to that target audience that they're after. And that's the key. That lead magnet needs to resonate with the audience that's seeing it. Now, we have a very thorough process in trying to get to what that lead magnet title is. It's actually a 3-page document where we really refine that target audience, what their pain points are, to understand exactly what that lead magnet needs to get us the lowest CPL. At the end of the day, we're just trying to get the lowest CPL, and the way we're going to do that is by getting that lead magnet to resonate with that audience seeing it as best as possible. So first thing you're going to want to do is choose your objective. There's tons of different objectives. One thing I would say is stay away from the awareness objectives unless you really have a massive budget. You're really not going to want to touch those two as often, because essentially what happens here is when you're doing awareness campaigns, Facebook's putting your ads in front of people that don't have a tendency to engage on content. So Facebook's putting your ads in front of people that scroll past content, because you're telling Facebook, put my ads in front of as many people as possible. So what's Facebook going to do? They're going to put it in front of those people that just scroll past content and don't actually engage in ads. That's key. I think a lot of people overlook that, is the power of choosing the correct objective. Okay, like traffic is a great example as well. If you optimize for traffic, you're telling Facebook to put my ad in front of people that have a tendency to click on content and go to a website, right? But if you do optimize for clicks, what's going to happen is you're going to optimize for people that might click on content but bounce off of your website, which is going to negatively affect your ads. So what you're going to want to do if you're doing traffic is optimize for landing page views. So get your ads in front of people that click on content and have the patience to wait for your page to load and browse through that content. That's the way to do it if you're doing a traffic campaign. Engagement as well. If you want likes, shares, and comments on a piece of content, that's a powerful one as well, especially if you're trying to build up a pool of people to retarget. But today we're talking about lead generation. So we're telling Facebook, put our ads in front of people that actually have a tendency to provide their contact information on Facebook. Okay, we're not disrupting that Facebook user experience. We're keeping people on Facebook. They're providing their information, and we're going to be hitting them up later through an email. Okay. Now the targeting, I'm sure a lot of you are savvy marketers, so you're quite familiar with lookalike audiences and custom audiences. These are a few of my favorites. And, people, not just people that land on your website, but especially if you have a membership site, people that land on your website, but that top 25% bucket of people spending the most time on your site. Those are the people you want to create a custom audience around, not just people hitting your website, but the top 25% of people spending the most time on your website. That's the key. Okay. Next is a customer list. Okay, that's a great one as well. But segmenting it, if you have enough leads, from those people that are the best quality customers, from the people that might not be the best quality customers, maybe the people that have signed up but canceled or unsubscribed. You want to get those, you want to exclude those people and actually create a segmented list of those people that would be considered bad leads or bad customers. Because what you can do is create a lookalike audience off of those exclusions. A great example of exclusions, which a lot of people omit to do, is if you're selling, let's say, a high-class jewelry or an expensive jewelry product or a high-ticket item, maybe you might not want to target people that have an interest in Walmart. I'm generalizing here, but just as an example. So you create an exclusion of people that like Walmart, right? This is just trying to get your ad in front of the right person. That's the key here. Okay. And then you have Facebook sources such as videos. This is a great one as well. A great example of TES. They are running a lot of video ads. So we were retargeting. If you watch 50% of a TES ad, there's a good chance you got retargeted with a very specific ad, because we know you're familiar with the TES brand now. So now the messaging is going to totally change. It might be something like convince your boss, or maybe addressing some of those objections on why you might not attend the event. This needs to happen only once somebody is familiar with your product or with your brand. And then people that open the lead form, they might have closed it. They didn't fill in their information. A great example of this is you might get a lot of people clicking that lead form and not being comfortable enough with your brand to give you their information. They would be a great audience to retarget with a testimonial ad or something just to further give your business that credibility. Okay. So set up your email campaign. Okay. So you want to set up that drip. We're not going to dive too much into the actual email campaign today. We just don't have time for that, but just make sure you set it up and have put some thought into that drip in that sequence of mails that are going to hit them. Okay. You're going to want to provide that lead magnet immediately in that first email. Okay, because that person on Facebook might not hop over to their email right away because, again, you don't want to disrupt that Facebook experience. They're just going to go, it's going to sit in their email box, and they're going to get to it when they get to it. Okay, that's the key there. You're just getting their information and hitting them up immediately with that lead magnet. And then you're going to want that automated follow-up sequence. So there's a few ways we've went about this in the past where you'd get a 3 days following that initial mail where you'd send a second mail just asking if they had any questions, if maybe a Calendly link in that mail, if they wanted to go through it with you. We actually encourage our clients, depending on what business you're in, to give them a call a couple days after they open that lead magnet, because we like to look at this lead magnet as not necessarily just a lead magnet, but an icebreaker. And I'll get into that in a second. The icebreaker strategy. So that lead magnet is not going to close your deal. It's going to open up a conversation for you. So step one, you're going to test those ads. Okay. So typically when we're in the first phase of creating this campaign, we're testing multiple creative, multiple headlines, as well as multiple images, videos, and copy. Okay. And we're doing dynamic ads to figure out what is working best with the audience. Once we complete that phase, then we find the winning ad that's bringing us the lowest cost per lead or lowest cost per click, especially if we're testing dynamic. Typically, we're not going to test as a lead gen. That could be expensive. So we'll test as a traffic campaign to see what actually generates those landing page views to the website. And that's strictly testing. If people close or become a lead, amazing. But the goal of this phase of the campaign is just to figure out what actually resonates with that audience and what resonates with Facebook as well, because something you think might work on Facebook, Facebook might not like that content. You may be using a specific word in the copy that Facebook might have blacklisted or something in there. Facebook might just rub Facebook the wrong way and you might not get the reach that you had wanted. So that's why the testing is so important. Then you find that converting ad, what's working best, have a clear call to action. We just did a podcast episode on Facebook call to actions. If you want to check that out, merged.ca/podcast. I'll have a link at the end of this if you want to go check that out. But yeah, learn more is by far the best button. In our experience, it works time and time again. It generates the lowest cost per click. Download's not bad either, but learn more. Typically, people are not committing. You know what I mean? It's just they're learning more. They're committing to learning more. It's not like a buy now button or something like like get quote is another one. You can use those, but you got to use them at the right time of the journey. You can't use those on a cold audience. You're going to be spending too much. So typically you want to maybe get quote or download or contact us at a point in the journey where they're very familiar with your brand. They've read your blog, downloaded the lead magnet, watched 50% of a video. These people will be a little more ripe for that contact us button or download button or get quote. Okay. Contact info submitted. It's so easy for people to send their contact information through Facebook because it's usually auto-generated. Okay. People just go click, submit their information. It's gone. And some of those emails might be a little outdated, but typically people in this case will update it because they want that freebie or they want that lead magnet. Right. So one caveat I would say is try to make it as simple as possible. Full name and email is perfect. Once you start adding additional questions in there, your cost per lead will increase, but the quality of lead will also increase. So that's something to keep in mind as well. If you really want to fine tune those leads coming in, we'll just add 4 or 5 questions where people actually have to manually input something. Like I said, cost per lead is going to increase, but quality will increase as well. And then set up that automation. Make sure they get that email immediately after they opt in. Not that they're going to check it out right away, but it's going to be sitting there in their inbox when their mind's in business mode. And that's the key, right? You want to catch them when they're thinking business mode, not scrolling through Facebook, looking at photos of my kids or grandkids or ex-girlfriends. You want to make sure that you're hitting them in their inbox, okay? Lead magnet download. And this is where they're going to get that juicy lead magnet that you created. It's going to be going into their inbox. And this is where now you know they're consuming this, okay? They provided all that value. You're obviously going to want to brand it and design it in a way that's going to be memorable for them to connect it with your brand. Okay. And typically at the end of that lead magnet, there's going to be a call to action. Don't forget that. Don't just pump it with all this value and have no call to action at the end. Make sure there is a strong call to action. You can even go as far as being like, hey, stay tuned for the second series in this lead magnet series. We've had some clients where we've set it up where that 3 days after we'll send a second lead magnet, like a part 2. So you can, there's ways you can get creative with it to keep them, keep enticing them to open those emails, keep those open rates high, and just make sure you're providing that value. And then conversion tracking. So there's several ways you can do this. Most of the time you can use Zapier to connect it with most CRMs. In some cases, we've just used a Google Sheet. It's always good to have a fallback as well, using that Google Sheet. There's so many ways you can track those conversions. Facebook Lead Manager is one we use internally. It's actually pretty effective as a CRM. It's free as well for those out there if you ever want to use the Facebook Lead Manager. But here, typically we always use Google Sheets as a fallback because really this is where you're going to keep that data and you're never going to lose it because Facebook's going to omit all those leads that are older than 90 days. This specific campaign got 457 leads it's still running. It's got a lead cost of $3.71 to bring somebody into that ecosystem. The bigger the audience, the lower cost per lead as well. Okay. Like if you're trying to target people at a local level, it's going to be very hard to get a low cost per lead because it's such a small audience. We work with a big barbecue company called Broil King. We ran a lead gen campaign, a white paper campaign for them, which is how to grill the perfect steak. That was the topic of the white paper, and we were getting leads at 75 cents a pop. It helps having a brandable name like Broil King and their name on it, but the point is, if you can find that audience and have a big audience of people to go after, you can get a really low cost per lead on Facebook. Don't forget to update your website, okay? Facebook's auditing that post-Facebook experience. So if you're sending people to Facebook and your site's taking too long to load, people are bouncing off because your ad's very clickbaity, that's only going to hurt you and it's going to increase your ad costs. So make sure that things are firing correctly. Make sure your pixels are set up correctly to be able to track those conversions, but also track the activities that people are taking on your website. And then track your success. Again, that Facebook pixel is so important. Even if you're not running Facebook ads today, get that Facebook pixel set up on your website because that Facebook pixel is going to be able to help you retarget people that hit your site in the past 6 months. Okay, even if you're not running ads today, you might run them 3 months from now, and you're going to want to track those visitors spending time in your site today. So just make sure you set it up, let it run dormant. Just let Facebook kind of collect that data on that audience because you don't know when you're going to want to start collecting those ads or creating those ads. Couple lead magnet suggestions, guys. You guys might be being like, what do I do? What's a great suggestion for a lead magnet for my business? A couple things here. One, contact me because I'd love to have a sit down with you. We can have a consultation and we can go through some suggestions for your business. I've seen many of these work in the past. So even just having a conversation could open up some gateways in your brain to come up with some great ideas for a lead magnet. How-to white papers are pretty standard, really good. People love the how-tos. And it's a tangible how-to as well because it's a lead magnet. It's not a blog. It's tangible. They have it. They can hold it. And typically it's the aspirin effect is the way you want to position that specific ad. And that aspirin effect is giving people an immediate sense of resolution to their problem. Okay. Those kind of white papers work really well. Exclusive webinars or special guests. We have clients that do monthly webinars. That's a great one as well. You can get pretty low cost leads for these webinars. Even if people don't show up, they're still in your ecosystem and you can continue that nurturing process over email. Okay. Video tutorials, edutainment. This is a great one as well. If you're comfortable and you have the, you have the resources to be able to create some video tutorials, they work really well. And again, like I said, I love the ability to retarget people that watch a certain percentage of your video content. So if you can create video content, it's definitely going to help you in terms of generating those quality leads. All right, TES Special Offer for anybody watching there today. Go follow Merged Media on Instagram and or Facebook. Send a message, Marbella, however you want to pronounce it. And I'm going to give you $300 in ad spend to get you going with a 3-month commitment to the program. So go and do that. We'll have a conversation. We can see if there's a fit, and we can go from there. Love to help you guys on your campaigns. It's what I do. It's what I love to do. And I definitely love, at least at the end of the day, having a conversation about your business. So thank you so much, guys. If you want to follow me, it's Jay Hunt Official. I'm always dropping nuggets, and I have a podcast as well. So I'm always cutting up clips from the podcast, putting them on my socials. So go and check it out. You can catch me on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, TikTok, Twitter, Clubhouse. Being a digital marketer, you got to be on them all. So, so I'm there, and the podcast is merge.ca/podcast. And with that, I think we have Romana. You back?
Thank you so much, Jay. That was so interesting. So much to digest there. And I'm sure our viewers are taking notes furiously. Very well said. And can I ask you a few questions?
Yeah, shoot. Let's do
Wonderful. How can Facebook advertising work for businesses that have products that don't comply with Facebook policy?
Yeah, great question. So that one there we get a lot because Facebook's getting stricter and stricter with their policies, whether you're promoting CBD, whether you're promoting erectile dysfunction, Nutra, all these businesses have, it can get a little challenging on Facebook, but the goal is remember, this strategy works very well with those businesses that might not comply with Facebook, because we're not selling them anything directly. We're not promoting any products that are against Facebook policy. We're creating a lead magnet that matters to that target audience that you can sell them over email later on. You just want to collect that information to sell them over email. So a great example of this could be, the top 5 benefits of CBD for mental illness. Just an example. But that right there, you'll get the people that might be in your target audience over to email, and now you can sell your CBD products. If you have certain, like, let's say another one, dating is a great example as well. Let's say you have a dating product, you're a dating affiliate. Well, maybe top 5 exotic destinations to take your date in 2021 would be a great lead magnet to get people into your funnel. And then you can start promoting your dating program, because keep in mind, right? Like, if people are going to be downloading that lead magnet, there's a good chance they're single. It's a good chance if you gear it towards a male audience, it's a good chance they're going to be the perfect customer for your dating product. So that's the whole point here, is you're not getting that immediate sale. It's not, okay, they're going to sign up from seeing this lead magnet. That's not the point here, because the intent's not there yet. You need to create that intent and then get them over to email, where you can start up your email drips and start pushing your sales a little harder over email.
Very clever. Thank you. That's really interesting. And how can Facebook advertising and SEO work together?
Yeah, this is one of the reasons why I merged my company with an SEO company. And SEO, search engine optimization, you get a lot of high intent searches. And when somebody lands on a certain piece of blog content, or they land on a certain service page for your business or product page, it gives you a good opportunity to get a very specific message in front of that person through a Facebook or Instagram ad. And that's where it works really good together. So anybody that signs up with an SEO program with us, that Facebook pixel right away is going on that website if it's not already there, because we at least want to have an opportunity, once we get enough traffic volume on a certain page, to retarget them with a very certain message. The good thing about blogs is it gives you some good insight on that audience, right? Maybe you're addressing a pain point to the problem within that piece of blog content. Well, the next course of action needs to be that Facebook ad to keep your business top of mind. Because let's be honest, most times people hit a blog, they read it, they don't remember the brand. So by forgetting about using that Facebook pixel to retarget them, you're doing yourself a disservice, because especially speaking of branding, it's a perfect opportunity to stay top of mind with that user.
Okay. And what does the process look like when a client hires you to run their Facebook ads, like you were describing there at the end?
Yeah. So when somebody hires us to do their Facebook ads, so the first thing we do is we have to do our due diligence. So we do a lot of research because it's imperative to understand the brand, right? We can't just go willy-nilly and launch ads tomorrow, right? We have to do our due diligence. We have to understand what that pain point is and make sure we get the perfect lead magnet, which is obviously approved by the client before we put anything live. We have a team of copywriters here as well that are hired right across the street from the University of Guelph, which is great for us because they're right out of school and they're hungry and eager to learn. So it's really good for copywriting. And once we get that copy approved, now we can go ahead and launch that campaign. Typically, we say give it 90 days because keep in mind, in the first month, we're doing a lot of testing to find out what works, right? And then in month 2, we're moving over that needle a little to the retargeting. So maybe we might introduce 30% retargeting in month 2. And then in month 3, we're moving that needle even more where it's maybe 50% retargeting. 50% of the budget is allocated to retargeting. Now, this all depends on budgets. We have some clients that spend $1,000 a month. We have clients that spend upwards of $10,000, $20,000 a month. So it really depends on what that budget is and how quickly we can move that needle. Because the key here is you don't want to target a pool of people that's too small because your ad cost is going to be too high. So that's why we can't start the retargeting right away because we need to develop that pool of people first.
Okay. Fascinating. Well, thank you so much, Jay. And people have all your information there so they can follow you and maybe contact you on Marbella as well. And thank you so much again.
Thanks, Romana. This was fun.
Yeah, it was great fun. And guys, we are back at 4 p.m. on stage 2 for ClickBank Platinum Secrets. Uncover high potential offers for maximum commission. Thanks so much again, Jay. Catch you all soon. Bye.
In the past 10 years, Crack Revenue has been working hand in hand with affiliates. We feel blessed to have thousands of brand ambassadors across the world that proudly promote both Crack Revenue and our most profitable brands. Because of this, we want to help them succeed by doing everything we can, from dedicated affiliate managers to 24/7 live chat support, to newsletters and blogs packed with insight and expert advice. We also update our Crack Revenue platform on a monthly basis, providing more tools, more features, and more creative content for affiliates to use. Not only do we want affiliates to follow the whale, but become one as well.